Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. My name is Carlos Torres, and every week, Fred Alvader and I check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened golf, we have it for you. Fred, hi, how are you this week?
Carlos, fantastic. Had a really nice weekend. Wind was blowing up here. I don't know about down there, but man, oh man, the wind blew so hard up here, knocked trees over, blew for a couple days. We had twin grandsons turned 16, had their birthday party over the weekend. That was a big deal. So been good stuff. Really looking forward to talking about golf this week, Carlos. Watched just a little bit, but there was some significant stories this week. I wondered, which did you feel was the best? And we got some different things to talk about, right?
We have, and there's plenty of golf news from this weekend that we can talk about. Well, let's start talking about Russell Henley. Okay, if you would think, I mean, he won by a mile. If you come to think about it, he won by 4 shots. But given that he was the 54-hole leader, and the way that he's been recent experiences on that, you would think, oh my goodness, he's gonna lose it again. But no, he finished it off in stellar round. I mean, it wasn't that big. It was a 70, but that gave him a 4-shot lead win over Brian Harman. That's much better than last year. Earlier this year, he was holding that 54-hole lead after 3 rounds at the Sunny Open, and he shot a marvelous 65. Still, that wasn't good enough because, he lost to Hideki Matsuyama. But finally, he finally won, erasing that bitter taste of the Mayakoba event in 2019, when it looked like he was going to win. He would be in contention for the weekend, only to suffer an 8-stroke penalty for violating the tour's 1-ball rule. Oh, for Russell. But finally, hey, he did it. Fred, he was in command from the start. He was comforted by a 6-shot margin at the beginning of Sunday. So even his first bogey came on the 5th hole of the final round, but he quickly rebounded with 3 straight birdies after that to restore the margin to a half dozen shots, and good enough to finally win by 4. So Russell Henley finally exercises those demons of being 0-5 when leading after 54 holes.
Yeah, we know Russell Henley's always been a really good iron player, and he was really brilliant, a few years ago at top of the leaderboard all the time, very consistent player. But, over the last 4 or 5 years, I think what happens, he got lots of money in his pocket, maybe didn't work quite as hard, and, just kind of, if something could go wrong, it seemed like it happened to Russell Henley, right? So this was a big win for him, no question about it, to finish the deal finally after the last 5 times. When he held the share of lead after 54 holes, he wasn't able to finish, get it done. As you mentioned, Hideki beat him in a playoff at the Sony just earlier this year, actually. And he had a solid year last year on the PGA Tour. He ended up 45th on the FedEx Cup rankings. He had 1 runner-up last year, 4 top 10s, made $2.8 million. So pretty nice year. This really sets up his 22-23 season. Now he's back in the top 50 in the OWGR. He's now at number 33. He's going to be in the majors. And it just takes the pressure off for the rest of the year, and he can just kind of let it go and freewheel. So, Carlos, this is a really big win for him, but in the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal overall to what else went on this weekend.
Well, one thing is for sure. At one point in his career, he was known for setting his phone's text alert that read, "I am the best putter in the world," to get him going. And certainly this week, he was one of the best in Mexico, and that's what's really mattered. That's what pushed him over the top to finally win. And talking about someone else, let's talk about Scotty Scheffler. Okay,
Who's he?
He's the former number 1. He hasn't been.
Oh, that guy. Oh, yeah.
But he was playing there at Mayakoba, and if you would have said he was in the number 1, the way that he played that final round where he shot 62, the lowest day 4 score of his PGA Tour career, 7 birdies and a hole out from 108 yards on the par 4 third. I mean, he moved up 33 spots in the leaderboard to solo second at that time. But unfortunately, he needed a win or a solo second to return to world number one, because Rory, as you know, 2 weeks ago after he won the CJ Cup, he overtook him, but it didn't happen. He finished T3rd, but amazing the way that he was able to shot that 62. He said, he was just trying to show up and have a good round of golf. And when he said, well, putts are not falling in. So he went back to his old putter, which he has done 4 times and won. And that's what shot him at the 62. Scotty, I think you should just dish your new putter, go back to the old one, because that's the one that's working for you.
Carlos, I don't know if you've ever done this or not, but I've really only had about 2 or 3 putters over, 50 some years of playing golf. I've only had 2 or 3 putters. But over the time, I have picked up other putters and played around with them and tried them. And when you first pick them up and you try a new putter, you putt really, really well. And the reason that is you concentrate on just making solid contact with the ball. You don't have any expectations, right? So you just watch the ball and you stroke it. And lo and behold, it goes where it's supposed to go. When we play with that same club all the time, week after week or round after round, now we start coming out of it, or we do different stuff, or I can do this, and it gets messed up. It's not the putter, it's the guy holding it. But when you change and you get that new putter, it's an early round in the early season. You go out and have no expectations after sitting around for 2 months over the winter, and you just worry about hitting the ball and making contact, and you play really well. And then you start trying to make different shots and stuff. Well, that's when you start getting messed up. So I really think that's what kind of happens with this, when you do need to go away once in a while, especially these guys play all the time, every day. So it gets them back into that, okay, making that stroke, and then they have that confidence. So, but Scotty Scheffler, first 3 rounds of Mayakoba, 65, 71, 68. He was down 35th place. He played several hours ahead of the leaders, fired at -9 under par, 62 to get near the lead, finished T3 for the week. So far this year, Scotty has played in the CJ Cup, won by Rory, that you mentioned, who moved around him into first place. And last week in Mexico, and he's going to play in Houston this coming week. If he could have finished solo second, he would have regained that #1 title, but it didn't quite happen. So, Carlos, we know Scotty Scheffler's a really great player. We know it's early in the season for him because he took some time off after the President's Cup and after the FedEx Cup and all that stuff. So he's just working his way back in. I know he wants to have a good showing in Houston because he's a Texas guy. I think this was kind of a warm-up round for him, and he just had to get lucky on Sunday, have a good round. But again, in the grand scheme of things, big deal, little deal, no deal, I can't see it's much of a big deal. So I think there's better things yet to come.
He'll take it. It's a momentum that he's going to have at least in Houston at the Houston Open. He held a 54-hole lead in 2021, finished T2 at the end. But hey, at T2 now, it will take him back into #1 if he does it in Houston. So we'll see. He definitely wants to play good right there. Now, more news. So let's talk about Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods.
Who?
Rory and Tiger.
Tiger Woods is still playing golf?
Well, we'll see. Those two are, you can argue about it, but they are the 2 biggest names in golf right now. That's been for a year.
Bryson DeChambeau isn't, Patrick Reed isn't, Dustin Johnson isn't, Brooks Koepka isn't. What are you talking about?
Not even close. And over the summer, they announced the unveiling of a brand new media and technology company, the TMRW Sports, and they've been good friends on and off the course. And now McIlroy had an interview with Golf and Turismo, and he was hinting at when we would see Tiger next. Okay, we haven't seen Tiger since that emotional miscut at St. Andrews. You remember him with waving on the bridge to everybody. It really looked like, hey, this is my goodbye. He's not going to be back. But Rory says that he's overall fine. He's still working on his rehab. And of course, the road is long, but that he thinks he can be back by the end of the year, maybe at the Hero World Challenge. So we'll see what happens. But also, we've learned that now it's going to be Rory and Tiger in the match against JT and Jordan Spieth. No Phil in the match anymore, I think, at least for now. But it's going to be interesting to see Tiger playing in Rory, this is gonna be one that I really would like to see. Those four are gonna bring some fireworks there.
See, that was what I was going to ask you if you're going to watch this. Yeah, I may try to watch this myself. This should be good, but no Phil. That's really hard to believe. And can they hold? I didn't know they could hold it. I thought this was all Phil's deal. This match thing. I thought this was all his. The way he acts, you know, he owned it and controlled it and all that stuff because it cost him $1 million. You know, because he couldn't have the video rights or some such things. You know, that's why he went to live. But you know, the new match featuring Rory teamed with Tiger versus Jordan and Justin Thomas. It's going to be played on December 10th at Bel Air Golf Club in Florida. So that should be interesting. But Carlos, the most significant thing from all of this thing is that we could actually see Tiger play 3 times in December on television. You got the Hero World Challenge, which is the first week of the month, right? And it's his tournament, so he'll probably try and play in that. Then you've got the match to be held on December 10th. And then you've got the PNC Father-Child, which is December 17th and 18th, that you know Charlie wants him to play in that. So we could see Tiger on TV a few times in December and maybe just roll right into the beginning of next year and start playing in Southern California and you know, maybe play a few events ahead of the Masters or the Players. Wouldn't that be something?
It would be. I mean, it's still not official. We haven't heard from Tiger as to when and where he will return. But it would be a surprise, definitely, not to see him at the Hero World Challenge. Maybe not playing, but it would be very surprising not to see him there. I think it's very likely that we will see him back at the PNC Championship on the 17th and 18th of December alongside his son Charlie. So definitely it's very probable. Maybe he'll take it you know, maybe he will play all 3, but I don't know. I hope he does. The world of golf really needs him to be here. And alongside with Rory, definitely those are the 2 big names that we like to see. And we have saved the best for last because, you know, Bernhard Langer is incredible. I cannot believe what he's been doing for it. And he's just inching even closer to Hale Irwin. So tell us about Bernhard Langer and his recent exploits.
I'll tell you what, I wish I knew what Bernhard Langer was drinking because I want some of it. I'm telling you, 65 years old, he's still winning out there on the Champions Tour. That's simply astounding to me, Carlos. You know, as you get older, when you start getting over 65 and, you know, things just don't work as well. I mean, you know, it's just not there. And for him to maintain and be able to compete against guys 15 years younger who are 50 years old coming off that are still playing quite a bit, you know, that's simply astounding to me. He won earlier this year at the Chubb in February for his 43rd win. In 11 starts this year, he has 11 he has 11 top 10s this year. I think in 18 starts or something like that. Langer only won 3 times on the PGA Tour in his regular career, but 2 of those just happened to be where they give you a green jacket. So that wasn't too terrible bad. He is a second all-time on the DP World Tour with 42 wins. So that's a pretty big deal. Oh, and by the way, back in 1986, when they announced the first official world golf ranking, Bernhard was the very first #1 in the world for 3 weeks in April of 1986. Langer has won more after turning 50 than he did before. He's entered 315 Champions Tour events and missed only 1 cut in all that time. He's won over $33 million on the Champions Tour alone. Carlos, when Hale Irwin was winning Champions Tour events in bunches in the late 90s and early 2000s, no one thought anyone would ever catch and beat that record of 45 wins. But we have been talking about this for a couple years now, and it seems that Bernhard Langer will do just that. You know, when he gets to number 46, you think he's going to hang him up, say, okay, I beat the record, I've done it. I don't think he will, Carlos. And for me, Bernhard Langer winning number 44, getting within 1 win of tying Hale Irwin's Champions Tour, career Champions Tour win record. That is the most significant golf story from last week in golf.
Definitely. I also want that recipe of whatever he's drinking because I want to see, at least if I can do a quarter, not a 10th% of what he's doing at that age when I hit it. So definitely Bernhard Langer at this point, you can't discount anything that he might be able to break that record. I am not going to be counting against him. I'm not betting against him. Definitely. If I think it's just a matter of when rather than if he's going to break Keller wins the record. So Fred, any final words, anything you want to add before we close the show today?
No, we're getting closer to Thanksgiving. The LPGA Tour is winding down. They're getting close to their final. The Champions Tour will be winding down. We're going to start going into the silly season here in a little bit. We got a couple more weeks left in the regular, in the fall wraparound season for the PGA Tour. But things are going to be closing down here pretty quick, Carlos. But there's still a lot of great golf being played, and it's fun to watch. I try to catch a little bit every weekend. And along with some football, we got to watch the Buckeyes. That's pretty important stuff. So the Astros, they snuck in there and won another World Series. So baseball is over. So what do we got left? We got a little football, and we got a little golf, but we got to love it, right?
Yeah, we do. And I want to see what those detractors of Houston are going to say now. How are they still stealing signs, right? It's incredible the way they keep doing it and winning. It's incredible. But anyway, congratulations to them. They really deserve it. And I'm really happy for Dusty Baker, who finally he's one of the most underrated best managers in baseball. So I'm
And
really
Verlander got a World Series win, which it would have been a shame if he never had one.
Yeah, future Hall of Famer. So anyway, thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest in golf news and information. Remember to subscribe to our channel so you can keep up to date with when we publish all these videos and more information for you. So thank you for joining us.